All right, guys, welcome into another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. I am Cole Godfrey, and joined as always by Level Up Luke. How you doing, man?
Hey, I am struggling today, man. Pretty tired after that insane Independence game last night, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
For sure. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Charlotte FC getting a huge 3 points at home against Toronto, 3-2. Obviously, we're going to be talking about U.S. Open Cup round number 3 for our local teams. We're going to be diving into maybe some rumor or so about a new signing possibly for Charlotte FC. We're also going to be taking listener questions. You can find us at QCS Pod on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Instagram at QCS Pod. I'm at Cole_Godfrey, and he is at LVLUP_Luke. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to give us a follow there. Give us the 5 stars if you're enjoying the content. Share with your friends and family. We'd truly appreciate it. This episode is going to be brought to you by SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek and use the promo code at QCSPod for your $20 off of whatever ticket it may be, whether it's Charlotte FC, whether it's a Hornets game, whether it's a concert, Luke Combs, Luke Bryan, Drake, Diddy. No, not Diddy. No Diddy. No Diddy.
So you're telling me I can go watch the Charlotte Hornets playoff games with tickets from SeatGeek?
Yeah, I mean, are they in the playoffs?
No.
I'm about to say, you just blew my mind. They are not in the playoffs. Yeah, if they were in the playoffs, you could go to SeatGeek and use the promo code at QCSPod and get $20 off of your tickets. So let's hop on in today's episode. And Charlotte FC win 3-2 against Toronto at the Bank of America Stadium. Luke, you were there. I was not. I was at the fire department. Luke, how was the vibes before the game? What was the pregame atmosphere like, and where'd you hang out?
Yeah, man. It was great. I went to visit our friends at Hopfly. Got that good free parking on the side streets over there. Had a few little brewskis. They had a nice little orange wheat beer going that I was digging. Yeah, it was cool. Hung out with the boys. The Charlotte Soccer Show pregame that they do over there. You guys can find that on their YouTube. They were kind enough to have me and Queen's Pitch and Reverend Burl, some of the other friends of the pod. So yeah, we had a good time discussing, and I was not prepared for the game that was to follow. There were a lot of fireworks, so we will get to that. But yeah, the pregame vibes were strong. It was a perfect day. Carolina sunshine and blue skies. You couldn't ask for anything nicer. It was just, everybody was on cloud 9 feeling great.
Yeah, and I mean, the atmosphere on TV was tremendous. The posing, obviously, or Peppers was absolutely amazing as always on TV. So I can only imagine the stadium. I'll be very happy to get back up to Charlotte this weekend for the matchup with Minnesota United. Let's talk about this lineup though, real quick, before we hop into the game. Enzo comes back in, start up top. Abada, obviously starting out on the wing with Vargas parallel him. Scotty Arfield getting the start as the 10 over Brett. Johnny and Westwood make up your CDMs. You're Ronan and Privet on the back line. And then we have Bill Tuiloma and Jalen Lindsay making up the right side of the back line with Kalina in goal. Anything that stood out for you here?
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, it was Bill Tuiloma starting in the backfield. That was a shocker. I was on the record before the lineup dropped as saying I thought he was the right choice for the lineup. And I thought, obviously, there were some mixed results, but he brings something different to the table. And I think it's one of those things where you're looking at a veteran who has experience with Portland, experience with the New Zealand national team. He is able to contribute, and he was ill done by some decisions last year. Play style, leaving him alone on an island. We've talked about it before. He's not the kind of guy you can just have solo 2 or 3 guys from the other team. He works as part of a unit, and he's not going to be, a Dilson Malanda. He's not going to be the best player on the team, the most talented, the most technically gifted, but he should be a reliable backup option, and that's exactly why you have these roster pieces, is for games like this. So I thought that was an interesting choice, but the right one in the end.
Yeah, and I'll echo what you're saying. I think that it's nice, when you have a young talent like Addison Malanda and how great he's been playing all season. When he does go down, or he's not in shape to play, have the experience and Bill stepping up, because I think that experience, and specifically the MLS experience, makes a difference. I'm going to agree with you. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's a standout. I don't think he's the starter, but I think he is a very, very serviceable backup. And yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. And yeah, then the game gets kicked off, and it was a very back and forth. Definitely, first 20 minutes of the game were really wide open. The 6 minute, Abada gets the ball, has a great run, whips it into the box, actually lays it off for Kerwin Vargas, who has a good strike, but it was just wide. And then in the 8th minute, another Kerwin shot saved, but it was straight at the keeper, saved, and then fell back to Scotty Arfield, and Scotty puts it wide. And then again, 1 minute later, Toronto comes right down the field, has a shot, and it's right at Kalina, but Kalina almost made a mess of it, but was able to tap it onto the top of the net. And yeah, man. So this game started off really, really, really fast. How was it in the stadium?
Yeah, it was definitely on full display. Charlotte's home field advantage. Charlotte had a lot of momentum early, but going into that half, I felt good. I thought that we should be able to pretty much hold them off.
I mean, it was like I said, it was very back and forth the first half, and the big question coming into this game was the finishing, because obviously we've had so much trouble finishing, and specifically the questions and all the concerns surrounding Kerwin Vargas, and he gets off the mark. He opens his account in the 39th minute, a ball that was headed down by Enzo, who gets the assist on the goal, and Kerwin slots it home, and we get to see the first Kerwin backflip of the year.
Yes, and that was incredible. We talked about it. He needed the confidence. He needed to open his account, just like so many players in Charlotte FC. It's getting the result that you've been working for. That Dean has told us, they're following the process. They're doing the right things. We have the XG. We're just not seeing the actual goals. So for Kerwin to get that, and seeing the backflip and seeing his celebration with Enzo, that was special.
Yeah, and it felt really good going into the halftime with the lead, and you're thinking, okay, going to half, we're feeling good about ourselves. Kerwin's off the mark. Abada was playing great in the first half, and yeah, and then you come out the second half. Prince Owusu gets subbed in for Toronto FC, and then just 4 minutes later, he scores, and it's level 1-1 in the 49th minute.
That was unfortunate. That really felt like one of those little momentum killers that we get, where the second half had just started. We're coming out a little too cold. We need to get back into it. And they just took off, after halftime, and they controlled, the next 10, 15 minutes was just pure Toronto. And in terms of momentum.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you're, after the PTSD of last year and after some of the games this year, you're like, oh man, are we going to let this slide? We're at home, or unbeaten at home. At this point in time, it was 13 unbeaten in all competitions, 12 in the MLS. But you're unbeaten at home. You're feeling good, and then you give up the goal, and it's such just a unlucky goal to give up, a very Charlotte goal to give up, where the ball just doesn't fall your way. And so I was thinking, I was like, oh man, here we go again. We're going to be fighting and scratching just to try to get a point out of this game. And I think it was the 61st minute, off of a free kick, the ball falls to Lil Abada. He hits the post, and then he slots it home after the rebound off the post, and is called offside, or is called back because of a foul on Bill Tuioloma in the box. Where, and I don't know what you've seen in the stadium, but having the advantage of being at home and watching, or being at the fire department and watching it on TV, and seeing multiple views of this, it's just not a foul. It just was not a foul in any way, shape, or form. I've never seen it given. People hold and do these little picks and stuff in the box every single set piece, and it's the only time it's called is if there's arms extended with a push or a trip. This was not a foul, and unfortunately for Abada, it was called back.
Yeah, it looked incredibly soft. We were extremely frustrated in the stadium. Followers will know that I was venting and kind of raging at MLS and pro referees. One of the changes they implemented this year was that the referees are supposed to explain these controversial decisions. and they did not do that in this match. Our friend of the program, Andrew Wiebe, was quick to point out that those changes start 420, bud. And, props on a little witty, repartee, but that's not good enough, man. At least, go to VAR, look at these types of things. If it's going to change the outcome of a goal-scoring play, if it's going to result in a goal that shouldn't be given, like, you should be able to look at these things, and the ref should be able to tell the crowd why they make their decisions, like they do in basketball, like they do in football. That would be the correct thing to do. Otherwise, you get this type of outrage that we saw in the stadium. It's frustrating to me. And for those that say that's not soccer, the referees are the ultimate decision makers. Well, these are pro referees. They suck. I mean, this game legit, I know we talked about a few weeks ago how bad the replacement refs were and how we wanted the pro referees back. I was quick to caution, don't carry that too far, because the pro referees are not good at their jobs. And that was what I saw in this game, was a failure from pro referees, from MLS, from the head of officiating of MLS. Do better. Just please do better.
Yeah, and I pretty much had the same sentiment on Twitter. It was, I think I tweeted out during the game, John Chapman has had a horrendous night, who was the head ref, and he did. It was just a poorly officiated game. Not just this specific play, but the entire game throughout. It was just, he didn't have control of the game. It was a very poorly officiated game. And it's what we've come to expect from pro refs. So, and unfortunately for Dino, there was all this talk at the beginning of the season. Well, you got replacement refs, and Dino, it was almost like every press conference he was being asked. And now he's getting a full taste of what our actual pro refs are like. So, God bless him. Yep. In the 67th minute, Scotty Arfield comes off for Brecht. Scotty played as the 10. What did you see out of Scott, man?
I thought that was an interesting decision to start the game. He rated fairly highly on SofaScore. Our back line seemed to have issues as far as the SofaScore, and I think a lot of that was due to the offsides and Toronto's pressure, especially like Bernardeschi. But with Scotty Arfield, he was staying in the locations you want to see the cam. He was in that central midfield, pushing to the attacking third. He had, I think, one or two shots. But really what I saw from him that I loved was his expected assist was at .42. So he was creating, and he had some accurate passing, 71% accurate passing. So statistically, I like that from Scotty. I think XGA is, or expected assists, XA, is an important stat that's pretty underrated. And that's what you want to see out of your number 10. Now, just to counterpose that to Brecht, if I can pull that up here in just a second. Brecht was on for less time, but he had basically zero XG or XA. So Scotty was more effective in the attacking side of things.
Yeah, and 3 minutes later, a ball that falls to Jalen Lindsey. Brecht just happens to be in, or not Brecht, I'm sorry, Leo Labata gets the ball, poaches it off the back line, and then he just makes a terrific run. You've seen the pace, and he goes far post, and he opens his account for Charlotte. And on TV, the place went absolutely berserk. Yep. It was a great celebration by Liel. Well-deserved yellow card, in my opinion. And, yeah, he opens his account. So what did you see from Abada this game?
Yeah, man. Abada is special. That's the biggest takeaway. Anybody who watched the game will, be able to say that was the most talented player on the field. It's clear. It's obvious why we paid $8 million for him. He's worth the money. He's got it. He's got the it factor. He's got the talent, the flash, the speed. And I'd love that for him. Scoring that goal, opening the account. It should have been a brace, obviously, but he gets his goal, and he rips off his shirt, takes the automatic yellow. And I love the post from the Charlotte FC media team the next day where they had the picture of Liel Abada with a caption, "Are you not entertained?" So I reposted that with Maximus from Gladiator. That was absolutely a special moment, and especially for him coming in with the situation, the circumstances that he's been through at Celtic, with international events, and now making a new home in Charlotte, in the Queen City. This really I think this will go a long way to making him feel like he belongs here. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for us.
Yeah, man. According to FootMob, he played a 7.6. I think that you've seen what he can do this game. Every time he touches the ball, people stand to their feet. It's one of the things where, you can tell with his touch, with his pace, his eye for goal, his nose for goal, and his nose for being that chance creation and getting the ball into the box. You've seen it multiple times this game, and it's only going to get better. With the more he plays and the more he trains with this team and under Dean's system, it's only going to get better. So I agree with you 100%. But moving along in the game, unfortunately, just 8 minutes later, a very similar goal, to be honest with you, man. Just a bad bounce for Charlotte, and it falls right to Prince Owosu again, and he gets his brace in the 78th minute.
Yeah, bringing him on as a sub in the second half was obviously a brilliant decision by Toronto. This Owosu guy is only playing for 45 minutes of the game, and he had 1.35 XG. That was almost Toronto's entire offense. So, he had a great night. He had a brace, and thankfully, we were able to shut Toronto down mostly aside from that. And this is about where you see in the 75th, 78th minute, that's about when it seemed to me like the game was, it should still be Charlotte's to win, because we had regained the momentum with the Abada goal. And this little shift back to Toronto, it's a make or break moment. And I think last year you would have seen a Latanzio team fold, settle for the draw. I never got the sense that this Charlotte FC team was going to give up. I knew we had at least one more goal in us, at least. I think this team kept fighting, and we saw that hunger, that desire from the team to go out and not settle for a point, but get the 3.
I think that's huge when it comes to your coach as well, because you've seen that with the subs that he made. Just 2 minutes later, he brings on Patrick Ajimong for Enzo, and that's obviously a very attacking-minded substitution. So it shows that your coach isn't not like last year where your coach would have just settled for a draw and brought in Junior Urso or somebody like that for in defense. He brought on somebody to go in there and make a difference, which Big Pat does in the 85th minute. This is the play I was talking about earlier. Jalen Lindsay gets the ball. It's a great ball and a great vision to find Brecht, who is just in acres of space on the right wing. And Brecht puts a good ball in. Hey, we've been Brecht, we've been on Brecht. But this is a great ball. It's low, driven right across the mouth of goal. And Patrick sticks the leg out and gets to it and puts you up 3-2 in the 85th minute.
Did Brecht get credit for an assist on that?
I believe so. Let me look.
I'm not seeing that on my side. But
yeah, no, it doesn't show it on FootMob either. But I mean, regardless, he puts the ball in a very dangerous area, and it probably touched a Toronto player, because he had one on either side of him. He just happened to get his leg out there and get that little final touch.
I mean, I think Brecht deserves some XA for that, some expected assist points. So hey, Brecht, you'll get a shout out here on the Queen City Soccer Show, because we appreciate that hard work. And really, after that, it was still Charlotte pushing for some more opportunities, but that was pretty much it. And then the only other notable event was Abada was subbed out for Junior Urso, and then as the game ended, I didn't even know this live, but apparently a Toronto player got his second yellow in the 98th minute.
Yeah, and it's a huge 3 points at home. You stay unbeaten at home. And with a lot more home games coming up, this next month, it's great to see. Before we hop off of Charlotte FC, though, and we're going to get to one listener question, because he has two, but this first one plays into what we're talking about, and it's from Zaz, and at your boy Zaz on Twitter. He says, "Is Ajimong's best position an impact sub?" And this was a very big talking point on my morning after thoughts, where I said that I had the opinion that Patrick should be starting, and a lot of people, it's not just Zaz, but a lot of people said, they like the idea of Enzo starting and then Big Pat coming on and running at tired legs and giving them fits, which I completely understand. I'm just gonna. Here was my thought process behind that: is Big Pat has been in great positions. When he started, he's had multiple opportunities early in games to put things away, and he just hasn't. If he does start putting these chances away, what did Enzo do? Enzo created very, very, very little. He had very little looks at goal when he was on the pitch. So I understand both sides of it, but what is your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, Enzo had an assist on the night, so, he was productive. He was part of the team. It didn't get him an expected assist, but he was part of that play. He got credit for it. He did not have any shots on target. He did not have stellar numbers with passing, only 47% passing. And I tend to agree, man. I think Pat is just showing that he should be the starting striker. Now, one of the takes I heard in the pregame is bringing in Pat later in the game against tired legs is even more effective. It's like a force multiplier because he's so big and dominant physically that he can muscle guys and really burn them when they're already wore out. So that's, I appreciate that take, that Pat is a good super sub, but I don't think that's enough to justify him sitting over Enzo to start a game and to play the first, 65, 80 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree completely. Before we hop off this game, man, who's your crown of the day?
I love it for Liel, but I got to give it to Kerwin. He needed this so bad. He needed that win. He needed to get his account open, to get a goal, to do the backflip, the running, pure burst of energy backflip that we love to see. It's later than I expected on the preseason predictions, but it's open now, so I would love to see more backflips in the future. And afterwards, him and Enzo doing the Dragon Ball Z, the Fusion Ha celebration that you might remember from Atlanta United on their championship run with Martinez. And, seeing that celebration and seeing how happy Kerwin was and hearing him talk after the game, I thought, just props to him, absolutely the crown of the day for me. How about you?
Yeah, and I think this is the first time that we're going to have the same crown of the day. Kerwin needed this. He scored an 8.4 on Foot Mob, was the highest rated player for Charlotte FC, tied with Owusu for Toronto FC. So I'm going to echo everything you just said, but my crown of the day is going to go to Vargas because it was huge for him. So may we see him starting to pick up form. I think with Abada now, I think it's just going to be an absolute nightmare for defenses. So Charlotte FC, 3-2 winners. Before that, though, Friday night, a pretty big rivalry game between Charlotte Independence and the Greenville Triumph. And you were in attendance, Luke.
I was.
What was it like over there in American Legion?
That was great, man. It's a Friday night game. I thought that the folks showed out pretty well for that. My take is colored by the fact that I was at another Charlotte Independence game last night, but for Friday it was great. There were, I think, 5 Greenville fans from their supporters group there, and I think all 5 of them were talking trash to me in my mentions. So props to you guys, appreciate it. We'll see you in June, but yeah, it was good. Ran into some of the Charlotte FC folks there. Obviously, Dean was there to watch Jamie. And Jamie did, he had a great game. I thought he went down injured at one point, but then I saw that headband a little bit further back, and I was like, oh, there he is. He's good. It was a good one, man. It was tough, hard fought, but Charlotte Independence managed to score. They had 1 goal on the day from Obregon, who is really wearing the striker hat. He's really taking up the mantle and the responsibility of getting the goals, which is why we brought him in. So you love to see it. Fortunately, 1 goal was enough. I know Austin Pack had a busy night. As always, he continues to be GK1, and that will not change. He is in the running, if not in the lead, for USL1 Keeper of the Year.
Yeah, Austin Pack's been phenomenal. Yeah, so I did. Austin Pack was phenomenal. I mean, you just can't say enough about it. He was really really good. Charlotte was stymied by him. I mean, not Charlotte, but Greenville was stymied by him. And Obregon, he's in good form, which we'll discuss more here in just a minute. But it was a good 1-0 win by the Independents, and like you said, they'll play each other again in June down in Greenville, and I'm expecting another good game.
Jamie Smith was the highest rated player for Greenville in the game on SofaScore. Austin Pack was the highest rated player in the game, period, and for Charlotte Independence. Pack actually saved a PK early in the game. He had an amazing PK save, and then he blocked the follow-up attempt after the PK. He got like 2 blocks in very short succession to basically ice that game for Charlotte Independence. That was a defining moment early on. I think that was in like the 15th minute or something like that. So shout out to friend of the pod Jamie and friend of the pod Austin Pack. We both had excellent nights.
Yeah, and if you didn't get a chance to go listen to that Jamie Smith interview that I sat down and had with him, go take a look. It's on wherever you get your streaming services from or your listening services. Go check that out. Jamie's a great guy, obviously son of head coach Dean Smith, so it was a really good chat with him. So if you haven't had a chance, go back and listen to that. Crown Legacy, though, they draw 1-1 with Huntsville City, and Crown Legacy actually wins on PKs. Cameron Duke, though, straight red in 37th minute after a Mayaka red versus Chicago last game. And is this becoming a theme?
I am concerned. It seems like there may be a lack of discipline with Crown Legacy. We were talking a few weeks ago about, their shots are going high, they're not finishing. They're stutter stepping on the PKs and overthinking things. And now with this, 2 red cards in 2 games, I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned about the legacy. We got him back at home, thankfully, coming up soon. But, I believe in the coaching staff and the training staff. I know Tommy's putting together a great system with Charlotte FC. He came over to us from Philadelphia in the offseason, and he's completely revamping the development pipeline for Charlotte FC. It was, number 1 Crown Legacy last year. Our academy was a gem last year, and it's only getting better from here. But, we need to see this training. We need to see the development from these young players where they can keep it simple, they can finish their opportunities, and not get these red cards and not hurt the team and hurt our depth by removing themselves from a game in the 37th minute. That red card versus Chicago was also, I want to say, in like the 35th minute or the 38th minute. So you're hurting your team so early in the game by picking up a second yellow or a straight red. We can't be doing that. And the fact that Huntsville City has been a thorn in our side all last season and this season. Another penalty kick shootout against Huntsville FC should not be surprising. Thankfully, we ended up on top, and that is our first win at Huntsville City, I believe. So cheers to the boys. You guys found a way to get it. In the end, that's all that matters, is that you get the 2 points on the road. But, let's keep focusing, keep training and fighting, and we need to see that development. I want to see a completely different Crown Legacy team by the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think you will. I think as this team moves along, I think you will. But before we move into our U.S. Open Cup Round 3 reviews, we do have another sponsor. Luke, why don't you tell us about it?
Hey, yeah. So we are sponsored by Level Up Home Consultants. Level up your home the next time you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the Carolinas with Level Up Home Consultants at Costello Real Estate and Investments. That is my real estate company. So next time you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Carolinas, please visit leveluphc.com.
Yeah, hashtag level up your home.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, we got some U.S. Open Cup Round 3 to discuss, and before we hop into what happened in Charlotte last night, let's just quickly touch on Greenville is now out of the cup. They lost 3-1 to Louisville City up in Kentucky, and to be completely honest with you, I watched bits and pieces of this game, but from what I've seen and the highlights, it seemed like Louisville pretty much pretty much had control of this game from the start. It's sad to see, obviously, Greenville go out of the Open Cup, but they are out Louisville City from the USL Championship, which is a really, really good side. And it was a tough draw for Greenville to get, to be honest. They move on to round 4. But the Charlotte Independents, however, had a very eventful night. And again, Luke, you were there.
Yeah, man. I had a crazy day of work yesterday. I ended up having unfortunate situation. Clients blew me off after I had drove an hour out of my way to meet them. They just didn't show up, and I was at that point. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna turn my luck around for the day. I'm gonna make a choice and level up my evening with some Charlotte Independence U.S. Open Cup. I get there, man. This was absurd. I could tell something was weird. As I'm driving up to the stadium, traffic is just stopping, and there's a line of cars, probably a quarter mile from the stadium, and I'm thinking, oh, there must have been an accident or construction or something. So I go around, I circle the block to the back side of the parking garage, and there's a line on that side of cars, and I'm thinking, what is going on? It took me 15 minutes to get into the parking garage across from the stadium. It was insane. I walk across the street, and there's a line wrapped around the building. So I thought it was just the line for the ticket office, but as I got up, that was the line to enter the stadium. I met up with friend of the pod, Johnny Hayes, and we waited it out. It took me 45 minutes from the time I started getting in line for the parking garage until I got into the stadium. 45 minutes, and it was, I think, the 15th minute. Rhode Island had already scored. Once again, beautiful day. Carolinas, some great weather. It had rained earlier, though, so the humidity was in full effect. I think I lost 5 pounds of water weight just sweating it out on the field. And I wasn't even playing, man. So that was fun. I got the chance to meet several of the key fixtures around the Charlotte Independence. The CEO, COO. I saw, our friend Christian Fuchs was there with his family. The Fox Soccer Academy was there, along with a lot of other youth programs. They must have shattered their attendance record for the season, and maybe since they've moved to Memorial Stadium, because it was clearly several thousand in attendance. And I was told by the director of marketing for Independence, they put this all together in 5 days. And their goal is to get people on board for the Ascent, the USL Super League, Carolina Ascent. They want to pack the stadium to have their first sellout for that event, which would be over 10,500 people and would break the domestic women's attendance record for the United States, which is currently held by North Carolina Courage up the road. So it was huge. There's big things cooking. If you have not seen a game at American Legion Memorial Stadium, you have to do it. The beers were flowing. The concession stands might have ran out of food, for all I know. I mean, it was crazy. I know a lot of the supporters, shout out to the Mech Reserves, had a deal that got them pitch side. So the supporter section looked a little smaller than usual because a lot of them were actually sitting on the pitch. I was one of the media members who was down there. I got some exclusive photos, and specifically Charlotte Independence goals number 2 and 4. I was the only photographer on that side of the pitch, so I got some really good video, and including the celebrations. Charlotte Independence Media actually posted my video from the second goal on their official account. If you guys want to check it out, I will be posting the full eyewitness pitch side highlights on a video package on YouTube, hopefully tomorrow or definitely by the end of the week. So you can find that on our YouTube at QCS Pod. This was a back and forth game. Rhode Island looked like the better team. They were faster. They were a little bit smaller, honestly, but very talented, very technically gifted, and that didn't matter. Charlotte Independence shut them down. Our big guys were physically dominant. You had Nick Spielman, you had Hugh Roberts, just a number of the guys. Joel out there. I mean, all of them had pretty good games, and Charlotte Independence held on. I mean, they came back from being down twice. They actually led 4-3. As time was expiring, and Rhode Island had a backbreaker at the end of that game there to tie it up. I think that was in the 80. I'd have to double check. Sometime in the after the 80th minute, and man, that place was crazy. It was loud. All those youth soccer fans, one thing they can do is yell and scream, and they made that place just an absolute fortress. And it ended up going to extra time. Charlotte Independence scores in the 95th minute. 5 minutes into added extra time, and we think, okay, it's over. That's Obergen's second. He got a brace on the day. His first one was on a PK, but he scores a brace. We're up with the lead again. I apologize earlier when I said. I think we were up 3-2, and they scored to make it 3-3. We went up again to make it 4-3, and that's when eventually Rhode Island grounded down and got a lucky header in the box that tied it up 4-4, setting it into penalty kicks. You could tell both teams were exhausted. Thank you to everybody who sent me screenshots of me on the sidelines behind the net during the penalty shootout. I was trying to get a shot of the ref giving her instructions to both keepers. I couldn't find a very good angle for it, but our friend Jeremy Michael from Twitter took a very suspiciously cropped screenshot that shows me, it looks like I'm just taking a photo of the ref. That was not the case, but did not get a good shot of that. I did get a keeper cam video shot of the entire penalty shootout, including a full one-shot take of the final frame and victory celebrations as Charlotte Independence emerges victorious and scoring a total of 9 goals to 8, including penalty shootouts. It was a action-packed day. I was physically and mentally exhausted. We got so much good content. We got interviews with the players after the game. They advanced to the U.S. Open Cup round 4, and my man, it was a scene at American Legion Memorial Stadium. I'm still exhausted and still buzzing a little bit just thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the last probably 20 minutes of regular time, and then obviously I watched extra time. And when Obregon got his brace in the 95th, I was like, all right, that's ball game. And then when Rhode Island scored, I was like, oh man. But I always had this little thing in the back of my head that was like, they got to win a penalty shootout against Austin Pack, and I just don't foresee that happening. So, again, Austin Pack he even posed on them after the final penalty save, just kind of posed on them, and Austin Pack, phenomenal once again. Like I said on Twitter, he needed to be knighted for his performance, and you do not want to see him in a penalty shootout.
That is a mean man right there, Austin Pack. That is a bad man. You don't want any piece of him. I'll tell you, Rhode Island doesn't want any piece of him. The fact that they scored 4 on him is unbelievable, but he still had a phenomenal game. I mean, he got rolled up on one time. He had 2 or 3 dudes land, just come crashing down on top of him in a heap. He still made, I think, 2 saves on the play, and then he's down for like 5 minutes. I thought he was out, man, and he troopered through the rest of that game. And as soon as the game over, he was out of there, man. He was probably going to get some treatment, get some ice. He put his entire body on the line. He was, USL 1 Keeper of the Year, and I would say overall, U.S. Soccer Goalkeeper of the Year, Austin Pack, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. They move into the Open Cup round 4. Carolina Core is in action today in the Open Cup at North Carolina FC. So another little North Carolina derby there. Hopefully the Foxes can pull that out and get MLS Next Pro side into round 4. We got a lot of soccer this weekend. Friday, Crown Legacy hosts Orlando City B. Saturday, the Independents are playing Union Omaha. It's first of the 3 on the road. Omaha's undefeated so far. Tormenta and Greenville down in Georgia. Greenville will be looking to bounce back from their first 2 losses of the season. And then obviously culminating with Sunday, the big one, Charlotte FC at 6 p.m. on a Sunday against Minnesota United. That's a 7v7, 7 in the West and 7th in the East. This is going to be on national TV. It's the game of the week. Minnesota's coming in have not won in their last three, so not coming in on very good form. And Charlotte obviously is looking to keep the unbeaten streak at home alive. Some news coming out of for this: the pregame is going to be at Hopfly because the tailgate lot is closed. The royal family has spoken and said the tailgate lot will be closed this Sunday for the Minnesota United game. So if you're listening to this and that's usually where you tailgate, don't go there because ain't nobody gonna be there.
If I can jump in here, just let's talk about the elephant in the room. The reason why the official tailgate is closed, the reason why the royal family has canceled it for this week, is because of two supporter groups, and we have friends. We have obviously the royal family in both of these supporter groups, Carolina Hooligans and Blue Furia. There were a series of altercations between the two groups that left one person injured and other people very distressed. Those matters are being handled by the appropriate authorities, law enforcement, and I would assume Charlotte FC will make some kind of a decision on after they investigate the matter fully. We're a podcast. We don't have any firsthand knowledge of what's going on. I reposted the official statements from both groups, but what I would tell you, and we talked about this before we started taping, this is a bad look for all of us. Knock it off. No violence, guys. We do not do that. That is not our culture. We welcome people in. Southern hospitality. There's no place for violence in this fan base. And that's as far as I want to get into it. I don't think it's our place to comment on it, and nobody wins in this situation. So taking sides and beefing and fighting, like, why? There's no upside to that whatsoever. I hate that it happened. I'm sorry for everybody who was injured or involved. But please, guys, no violence in or around Charlotte FC. That's not what we're about.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. I think you hit the nail on the head. So yeah, just keep in mind that the tailgate lot is closed due to that this coming Sunday. We do have one more listener question before we get out of here, and this comes from Zaz, your boy Zaz on Twitter. Luke, I'm going to ask you. He says, is Breck's best position on the wing? It improves the depth there. He seems to go missing in the games more when he's the cam.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, right? Is he better on the wing? I think he has the ability to play there for sure. I might still be a little biased because I feel like they tried to slot him in there towards the end of last season, and I didn't love that. If anything, I'd say maybe Scotty is a good backup wing option. I'd say as far as wing goes, I would leave that to Vargas Nevada at this point. And if we're talking about backups, we still have Tavares, and we do have an option as a backup with maybe Scotty and Brecht, but I don't know. I heard a rumor, actually, maybe this is a segue. I heard a rumor we may be looking at another U22 winger signing from South America. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, so Tom Bogert reported today, actually, that Charlotte are looking to add a U22 initiative winger before Tuesday's transfer deadline. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Follow Tom Bogert because he does a phenomenal job covering he covers this league like nobody else. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on until Tuesday when the transfer deadline is closed. You can't say enough good things about Tommy Scoops. He does a great job covering this league when it comes to transfers and signings. He's the best. There is no, and it's by a long shot. So before we get out here, Luke, you got anything else, man?
I'm excited. I think the state of the Charlotte Soccer Union is strong. I think that we have 3 teams who are competing, who are getting points on a regular basis. We have our representative in US Open Cup. It always feels better to me when Charlotte is in the US Open Cup. It's always for the cup and always for the crown. So we'll see you guys this weekend. If you need tickets, let us know. I always encounter people who are giving them away or selling them at a discount. So if you want to get out to a game, at QCS Pod on Twitter, at QCS Pod _ on Instagram, and we will try to hook you up.
Just excited to be back in Charlotte this weekend and hopefully keep the unbeaten streak alive. So with that, for Luke, I'm Cole. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. We will catch you next time.
Up the Jacks.
For the crown.